Good evening. It's a little bit dark here, as you can see. It's about 11 o'clock on Saturday night. So we're here again, another week. So another few stories. This week I've decided to write each day, kind of in a diary way, I suppose. So let's see where we go. As you know, as I do this, you help me with making sure that I've proofread it. So it's entitled Day by Day, reflecting on the past week, and the photographs that are used are from my recent trip to the Krishnamurti Centre in Bramdean, Hampshire. I might be a bit more spontaneous tonight. As I read, I might just then go into talking. Anyway, so we start with Sunday last week, 13th. The greatest fear is the loss of the past, not of the future. The greatest fear is the loss of the past, not of the future. This is what I remember from the friend who spoke at meeting. That's the Quaker meeting on a Sunday. They had been reading a book on death, and the writer proposed that the fear of death is more about the fear of the loss of the past. Did someone continue it by suggesting that we fear being forgotten, or perhaps that we forget? Memory serves a purpose, but it shouldn't become a place in which we live. Curiously, as I was driving to the meeting, I was wondering how I would feel if I was prodded to move on from the place I now reside. Instantly, that part of me that always says no raised its voice. Yet, as I remembered my first days in Galway, or here in St Albans, I had a sense of being in the right place. I had not visited either place before I arrived, yet once there it felt right. So what stops me from thinking another such move would also be right? Once again, I'm reminded that I want to cage that which started spontaneously. I'm sure that spontaneous wants to keep giving, yet we obstruct it if we hold too tightly to its last gift. So what I'm saying there is really that when we get something spontaneously, we want to pin it down. There's something, well, in me anyway, that doesn't want, that seems reluctant to want to live spontaneously, so that something else will come, that I don't have to hold tightly to what I've just been given, because there is more. So moving to Monday of this week. So our group is called Christian Life Community. It's an Ignatian spirituality group. Ignatian being named after Ignatius of Loyola, who was the founder of the Society of Jesus, otherwise known, and some people might get alarmed, as the Jesuits. So whatever you've heard about the Jesuits, it's all been good in my experience. Anyway, so our group, Christian Life Community, have been contemplating Psalm 139 in the 2 weeks between our next meetings, so we meet every 2 weeks. I couldn't help but notice the first verse and the last verse of that psalm, which is, O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. I don't know what I'm saying that for. And lead me in the way everlasting. Silence, meditation, self-inquiry are all activities of recent weeks, which are in effect an internal search, going to all the dark corners of our souls and exposing them to the light. Is it better to know them or to leave them in the dark? I've got a squeaky chair here. Something tells me that they should be exposed to the light. Tuesday the 15th of June. I've noticed 2 weeks on from being in silence, so I was at the centre 2 weeks ago, that I rarely put on the radio. Radio 3, which is my station of choice, provides me with classical music that I could escape into. Now I try to be and escape into nothing. So there's a notion here about, are we escaping, even with music? And of course it's fine to escape, sometimes. Just for me at the moment, I'm being challenged with staying with what is. So I may be quiet, but there are plenty of sounds. The birds have replaced the radio music as I listen to their singing in the morning and at dusk. Just being with the silence seems to encourage a being with the moment. Wednesday. I noticed that a flicker of annoyance ran through me when the contactless machine didn't work at Sainsbury's. "They're not working," called over the assistant. "So why don't you put a sign up?" says I. "I've told them," he replied. I left it. Then there was the person who decided to walk in the road as I was exiting, seemingly giving no regard to the traffic behind them. Did I almost beep? I didn't. I'm becoming more aware when I'm stepping out of consciousness into ego. Maybe. But then later when I read an email, I hardly paused and fired one back. That got straight to my ego. Not so easy to be forever aware. I spent an hour on Zoom with those who make up the Global Meeting for Worship, and that's an international group that meets on Zoom, mainly North Americans, mainly United States of Americans. And in that silence, I've written, wow. I was reminded of the words of William Penn. Silence is to the soul what sleep is to the body. Like a beautiful sleep, it was a beautiful silence. How much do we need to just stop, wait, and allow silence? I'm just moving this chair because I can hear the squeaking. Sorry, I've interrupted myself now. Like a beautiful sleep, it was a beautiful silence. How much do we need to just stop, wait, and allow silence to do its work in us? Thursday. I've been surrounded by new technology recently. I am not one for passwords and usernames. My memory wasn't designed for just such things. I need to put a comma in there. Oh, sorry. It shouldn't be seemed. There's another, sorry, I'm going to have to put my glasses on because it's a bit dark as well. It seems the technological advances are increasing in speed, and with it an expectation that we all will advance to it. Well, I struggle with it. That said, I've been very grateful for those who gave me the time to get me set up or reset. I may not be so great at setting up technology, but I can encourage people and thank them for their efforts in helping me. I believe it's important to let people know that I appreciate them, whether small or big. Friday. I noticed that I'm in quite an excited mood, and I'm not sure why. Was it that I managed, with the help of another, to get connected to that printer? I do need to watch it, as in such a state I can push when it's better not to push. My father, the earthly one, celebrated his 80th birthday yesterday. I was speaking with him, and as he does, he begins to reminisce about sayings of his father, my grandfather. I've heard him say this one many's a time. Now, that's not a grammatical error. That is how we talk. Can't be interrupted. I'm doing this now. Somebody's just come into the room. Anyway, I will continue. I've heard him say that one many's a time. So that's an expression that we would use at home. It should maybe say many a time, but we say many's a time. Or at least I say many's a time. but I thought I would note it down and share it. And this is what he said. If you can't help, don't hinder. If you can't give, don't take. If you can't love, don't hate. And those are the words he remembered from his father, my grandfather. And I thought, simple but good. Okay, so today then, just as the day comes to a close in the next 55 minutes, thinking about the excited feeling, I also managed to engage a surveyor and a solicitor this week in regards to the leasehold. So maybe that also contributed to feeling excited. What that's about is, as you may know from last week, I can get quite bothered about having to do things. So sometimes when I actually get to it, and I was talking to the solicitor and I've got the surveyor coming round, I feel, I've managed to get to that stage. I mean, there's a few stages to go yet, but I feel I moved on from where I was last week, as often happens. But I want to capture the moments when I feel stuck and when I move on, and I guess that's part of what I'm sharing. So I continue with today. I'm experiencing a lot of, is it called upskilling? I can see, having looked at my earlier reading, that I'm going on again about this technology without realising that I was going on about it the other day too, but I guess that's what a diary tells you. It all relates to technology and people who think it all makes everything so much easier. What isn't easy is remembering. I'm repeating myself in a way because I said this the other day, but hey, I've noticed, you don't have to tell me. What isn't easy is remembering usernames and passwords for an ever-growing list of applications. Most people seem to keep a list of them at the back of their diary, handwritten as well. So where's the app for remembering passwords? Oh, please, I know somebody's going to tell me there is an app for it, but I can't be doing with another app. So T and I, by the way, T is not her name, it's just the name I give her in these writings. So T and I went to Crêpe Fur today as a Father's Day treat. I prefer to miss the queues on the day itself, which is tomorrow, of course. Our first choice, the Waffle House, had quite a queue, so we skipped it. Have you noticed that we're all out there trying to live our lives again? St Albans today was just rammed, jam-packed with people. It was like a festival. I'm having to get used to crowds again. Crêpe Fur wanted everything done on an app. Track and trace, order your food, pay for your food, and I don't have all these apps. And I don't pay for the data storage, so I mean, why should I? So I thought it was a bit of overkill, and curiously so did T. Anyway, we managed to get them to do it for us without having to do the apps. And I was just commenting on this, and I suspected people of my age would be put off having to do everything on an app. When I heard protests coming from behind, a couple couldn't be bothered with creating an account, just to order and wanted to be served. And a joining couple joined them in their protests. I couldn't help but smile that I was not alone with what I'm terming the technology overkill. As I say, it's Father's Day here in the UK tomorrow, maybe in Canada as well, I'm not sure. So if you're celebrating, best Father's Day.